So nice to see you all this morning. We're gonna start about the middle of the yoga mat and coming into butterfly. Okay, I lied. We're gonna go a little bit further up to the front. And you bring your feet together and you have about 2 hands length between your groin and your heels. So they're not so close. Nice, Johan. Now I can see. And the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna grab onto your shins and reach your chest forward, drop your head back, and take a nice full deep inhale and exhale. And then inhale again, bring your chin to your chest and start to slowly roll down, allowing your head to drop towards your heels. Good morning, Mona. And you can kind of wiggle around and make small adjustments here. See how it's fitting in your body. And once you've got the little wiggles out, oh, nice, you can massage your brother, that's perfect. You wanna relax into the pose. So take a full breath again, and this time just sigh it out through your mouth while you stay still in this forward bend. Ah, welcome, Mona. So we're practicing yin yoga today. And yin yoga really has its identity because it's not like all the other fiery, heat-producing yogas. And we use 3 principles to come into a yin yoga posture. The first you've already done. You found the right shape for your unique body. And then the second part is after you've got your fidgeting out and your wiggles out, on purpose, you become still and heavy and soft, using just the barest minimal amount of muscles that you need to stay in the posture. And once we have this shape and then produce the stillness in the shape, the last principle is to stay. And even though I'm not asking for a bigger commitment than like maybe 7 minutes in a pose, but most of the time 5 or 3 minutes, as soon as I say stay, or we know that we have to, you might notice you already have a reaction. So that's actually part of the design. We want to teach ourselves how to stay through being annoyed, being irritated, bored, confused. But we're not trying to stay through sharp pain. So as all yoga classes are, they're a list of suggestions, not commands. We're interested in cultivating our ability to choose rather than just blindly being obedient. So we're doing a liver and gallbladder series today. With your next inhale, roll up and place your hands back behind you. Place your your whole fleet of toes and feet on the floor and lift your hips up, drop your head back. Then stick out your tongue all the way down your chin, look at your third eye, and with a whisper, roar like a lion. So you go, beautiful. Do it 2 more times. Inhale, lift your hips up, feel the effort, and with your exhale, 1 more time, make it fierce. And then roll your hips back down, cross your ankles, and actually come onto your hands and knees. And you're gonna bring your right knee in front of your left knee. Yeah, so you're squeezing them together, and you can really kind of cuddle your knees closer. I know, you've probably never cuddled your knees before, but wiggle them closer, and then see if you can sit down without breaking anything. So it's totally okay to have the top knee really high up. If you need to, you can always find like a stack of books or, you know, a handy wooden yoga block or something to elevate your hips. Even just a blanket rolled up will will work well. So a good indication if you need to sit on something is that if you're like behind yourself, like if you're behind your hips. But if you can sit over your hips, then you're pretty okay here, even if it might be not the most comfortable pose. Lift up your chest and then start to roll your chin, allowing your chin to come to your chest. Your forehead could come maybe eventually to your knee. If that's easy, you can put your chin in front of your knee. I think you got that one, Allie. Or maybe you can even bring your chest all the way to your knee. Take a full inhale, and with your exhale, sigh out and feel your body soften around the structure of the pose. So the first 10 minutes of any yoga class or any yoga practice are actually the hardest. It's those first 10 minutes, it's where we have to kind of wade and make our way through our own resistance. So we're at 9 minutes now. So just take a couple moments and just notice, how is your thinking this morning? Observing how you've been going about things rather than what you've been going about with. And you can take a moment and just wonder, what part of us is that part of us that can observe even how we're thinking? And with your next couple of breaths, just witness your own feelings here. Maybe you woke up sour, maybe you woke up sweet. And we can observe our feelings really like our own personal weather system. Some days are sunny, other days cloudy. Sometimes you have storms that crash through. But there's life in all of those emotions. And to really allow our emotions to be digested by us, to be kind of, taken in, that's when they actually can start to dissipate. But if you spend a lot of time trying not to feel something, it actually ends up being more of a challenge, more of a problem. Notice if you can soften anywhere, if you can let your elbows be heavy, or even your tongue grow just a little bit fatter. It's nice to see so many men joining us this morning because this is the most masculine yin organ pair or yin yoga organ pair. Because it's the gallbladder that goes together with the liver. And how traditional Chinese medicine looks at organs, they look through the eyes of the process first, rather than the physical organ. And they look at organs in harmony, which is really brilliant because, as we know, nothing works in isolation. It's always in context, in relationship. So it's actually quite silly to study things outside of their natural relationships. And in the gallbladder liver connection, the gallbladder is the yang organ. And so it's more directly just related to its physical processes. And the liver is the yin organ. So it's related to its physical properties, but it's also more strongly connected to the processes that happen in the other bodies. So in our body of energy, in our body of feelings and emotion, our body of thoughts, even in our spiritual body, this body that has a much longer life than that on earth. The place where we're challenged with fate versus destiny. And then inhale, roll up your chest. And you're gonna keep your bottom knee, it should be your left one for most of you, there. And you're gonna sweep your right leg all the way back behind you. Coming into sleeping swan. So here, if you're flexible, you're just gonna stretch your right leg straight back behind you and have both your hips pointing straight forward. If you're not so flexible, you can keep your back knee bent. I see that some of you are already naturally doing that. That's great. And then start to let your body come forward. There's also a way that if you're coming into the pose and you feel that your left buttocks is way up in the sky, you can also put like books or pillows underneath it. And then that helps you kind of relax into it. So there's two different ways to increase your space in this pose. One is to put something underneath your buttocks here if you need to. And Nicholas, that's great what you're doing. Or bend the back knee. And so your right hip actually opens up a little bit. You won't be, you'll still be rewarded with the fullness of the pose. Start to walk your hands forward and draping your heart down towards the earth. Let your head hang. Take a full breath in, and with your exhale, allow that sigh to move out of your mouth, but also to relax and soften your whole body. So one of the biggest reasons that I say this is a very young organ pair is there is the occult connections, ancient connections to our organs with every planet in our celestial system. And the liver is connected to Jupiter, and the gallbladder is connected to Mars. So if you remember any of your mythology, or if you're a well-studied astronomer, both Jupiter and Mars are incredibly masculine, young planets. Mars is always connected to like the Aries archetype, the god of war. And Jupiter is connected to the archetype of the king or wise teacher. You can even think a little bit like if you think about the gallbladder and its secretion of bile, which one of the things that bile does is it breaks down the fatty stuff, the soft and squishy warm stuff. And then the liver is this incredible protector of our physical body. It is part of what allows us freedom and resilience. So that an ancient design, even in BC times, human beings had livers. We've had livers for a very long time. And just imagine like 2,000 years ago, there was no anticipation of the wide uses of plastic or the incredible amounts of chemicals that have been put into our food. There was no cognitive, intellectual anticipation of that perversion. Yet, thank goodness for our liver, else we wouldn't be able to survive a lot of the modern food. Because the liver is designed to take care of unknown foreign objects, foreign substances, especially toxic substances. So not only does our liver protect us, but in so many different languages. I mean, just seeing what's in the room here, we've got German, Swedish, and English. Icelandic. I don't know what the word is in Icelandic though. But that organ has been given the honor of the verb to live. I mean, our heart isn't even called the lover, which I think it'd be a great new name. Oh, I had a lover attack. And then start to walk your hands back to your shoulders. And what you're going to do is you're going to roll to your left butt cheek, keeping your left knee bent. I know it's been a long time. It's going to be okay. Pear's turning away from you, so I'll show you facing you. So you're like this. And the first section, you're going to actually just bow forward. So if some of us can come down to the elbows. So it's like Janusharasana. So your left heel should be in. I'm showing you the opposite side. Here, Johan, there you go. This is my left leg. That's my right leg. And then either bring your elbows down to the ground if that's available for you. If your brother is conveniently in front of you, you can just lie on him. That might work better. Whatever can help you here. Or maybe you're nice and open here and you can just lay down on the ground. But you want to find your happy medium place. So you're not forcing something, but you feel the stretch in the inner thighs, in the groin area, and you can surrender to the pose. So we can see we can see how much the liver does to protect our physical bodies. But I wonder, is that role something that goes up into these other bodies, into the energetic body, into the emotional body, the mental body? And the qualities that the liver instills in our energy is that actually is it ensures the smooth flow of qi. So the energy system in our body, for it to move slowly, nice bolster, Mona, for it to move well and evenly in our body, that's the liver's responsibility. So our energetic body is kind of balanced out, and it's actually balance that is our health and therefore our protection. And when we think of the emotional body, when our liver and gallbladder are suffering, you might have experienced or done some experiments in this department if you've ever woken up with a hangover. What happens is it allows our relationship to anger to become out of balance. Now inhale, roll up your chest and keep your beautiful legs just like they are. And you're going to do a little ska dance or whatever kind of dance you want to do, and just twist your belly button over your extended leg. 3 or 4 times, 6 or 7 times, and then roll down, letting your head come towards your right knee. You can put like a blanket or something on top of your leg. Maybe you can have your head rest on it, or you might even find that you can bend your elbow and hold your head if that feels better. With yin yoga especially, there's this unique kind of like, well, this is the idea, now make it fit into your body and your possibilities. So in the emotional body, when our liver and our gallbladder are out of whack, so that means, too much qi, not enough qi, weak qi, all sorts of imbalances. But what happens is emotionally we become challenged by anger. So most often we recognize when people are full of rage and express it verbally and reactively. They fly off the handle at the smallest thing. That's a very easy to see, like, oh, that relationship with anger is way out of balance. There's another imbalance with anger that's much harder to see and much more socially accepted, and especially in women, but nowadays our gender issues are so wonderfully all of ours, where an imbalance in the emotion with anger is that you don't show it, that you actually have an inability to express anger. And that's also detrimental for us. So a nice kind of ocular to see anger through, or any emotion in the traditional Chinese medicine, is that there's a right time and place for these things. Like, we should get angry at the injustices. We should get angry if human beings are losing their freedoms. But it's not so useful to get angry at ourselves for not being flexible, for instance. And then inhale, roll up, and make your way into lying on your belly on your yoga mat. So turn around so you're facing the front, and just lay. You can take you can stack your forearms and just rest your head onto your forearms, just lying in stillness for a moment. Or however you want to lie down. It's really just a posture which should be super easy, feel really nice, and allow your body to rebound. You already know, because you're so smart, we've got that other side. So maybe even feeling the difference on one of your hips to the other hip, or one leg to the other leg. And then slide your hands back and bring your elbows underneath your shoulders and come up into Sphinx. So you can have your elbows just slightly in front of your shoulders. You can take your legs wide and then really feel your pelvis dropping towards the ground. Feel your legs heavy. And you can either let your shoulders fall up into your ears, which isn't so sexy, but it really helps release tension that we have in our trapezius muscles here. Or you can, with a small amount of effort, exactly, it's like being a turtle. With a small amount of effort, you can pull your shoulders down. And you can kind of figure out which feels best for you, or maybe split the difference. But finding again that stillness for a while. When our liver and gallbladder are healthy and balanced, what happens emotionally in our body is that we feel at peace. And not just at peace, but balanced with ambition, with a goal. So the gallbladder particularly actually really affects our decisiveness, our ability to make a decision and stay committed to it, our ability to pick a direction. And our liver actually has to do also with being able to plan things. So you can see how, you want this plan and then you want the fire to execute the plan. Now, as we are undividable in ourselves, you'll notice they're not hard edges between something that is emotional or something that is mental. Or you might notice that in your body, in your physical body, there's not a line where you're like, oh, and now that's my energetic body. Like I can feel my physical leg and then that's my energetic leg. It kind of, they're blended in. The peripheries aren't so strong. And so as we move up into our mental body, the way that the liver and gallbladder becomes a protector for us is actually with its connection to creativity. So one of the experiences being trained in art school that I remember is we would get assignments that had very limited parameters. I think that one of the first ones that left such an impression on me was we were given toilet paper, white glue, and wire to do a sculpture in. And that limited material actually, instead of limiting one's creativity, like really let it like blossom out, because you had to use those materials and you didn't want to do what everyone else was doing. So actually our confinement or our constraints allowed our living capacity, our mental emotional capacity to get creative, so we could find life in those narrow kind of conditions. So creativity is one of the essence of, for me, of human survival. So we can see it personally on our personal development course, like whether you're doing something as explicit as making art, or maybe you're making food, or maybe you're making a difference. But whenever you are most alive, often you are in some sort of creative process. And especially right now, as our world is in places it's never been before, it's this human capacity of creativity for me that remains a source of hope, a source of trust and faith. Now with your next inhale, we're going to have a little yang moment. You're going to tuck your toes under, and you're going to come up into forearm plank for 30 seconds. Pairs up, I'll start the timer. You guys are so lucky. You push your heels back, your chest forward. You have a good attitude. It's okay to shake like, you know, flipper. You're so wonderful. So nice to see your faces this morning. Let your effort warm you. It's okay to shake. It's okay to do half of it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bring your left knee forward. You should probably just bring your right knee forward. I'm sorry, Pear, would you switch it? So right knee forward, and then swing your left leg around so your left knee is on top of your right knee. We're coming into cow-faced pose. So last time we got into it by being on our hands and knees and cuddling our knees together. And if you found that helped you, like for me, somehow it gets something out of the way and I get a nicer, more comfortable position. Try it out, or you can put something, a pillow underneath your hips or your, yep. And you can also try this. Take your hands next to your hips, and it's really energetic, but imagine tilting your pelvis. And so it's like you're just gonna like push the fluffy part of your butt back. Ooh, yeah, nice. And then start to roll forward. Wherever that is for you. For some of us, it's our chin dropping down to our chest. For others of us, you can put your chin in front of your knee or your chest draped over your knee. And it's, maybe I'm wrong, but for most of us, this is not a very comfortable pose. So I make sure I got my eyes on the clock. So it's okay to be uncomfortable, annoyed, bored, but not okay if you have sharp pain or, yeah. So it's a little bit more elusive for us to see how our liver energy and our gallbladder energy is a protector in the spiritual sense, in the invisible world. But when we think about how choices are, how decisiveness works, together with creativity, we can start to kind of imagine how one choice really sets it apart from being our destiny and moving in a new unknown direction, or being something where we choose to let something else win and then our fate takes over. The other key element I forgot to really say, and this again is something that moves in our mental realm, our emotional realm, as well as maybe our energetic realm, is that when our liver and gallbladder are balanced, one of the key things that it supports in us is being kind. Now we can understand how being kind is a little different than just being nice. You know, that distinction is absolutely critical for me. We can get so habituated into being polite and nice that we forget that honesty is actually part of kindness. To be honest and loving is kind of the essence of kindness. And kindness requires an inner decisiveness and effort on our part, a wakefulness. So when you look at these key human elements of being balanced, of being kind, and expressing our creativity, then we can start to see how our whole life path is shaped. God morgon, Isak. And then inhale, lift up. Joyfully sweep your left leg back behind you, straightening your left leg or having the knee bent if your hips are a little bit tight. And then starting to walk your hands forward and pouring your chest over. And then you really want to stretch back through your left toes if your leg is extended. Up, you're looking good. So wiggle your way there, find the little fidgets. If your hips are squared, straighten out through your left toes. You can also take your arms, if you're flexible, very much together and in front of you, and you'll feel from your fingertips all through your body, down the inside of your left leg, a nice stretch. So when we have a connection to our own capacity for kindness, for decision making, and for creativity, we can notice how this is what shapes our life. You can think of what have been the most important yeses of your life. And maybe you'll even notice often these kind of destiny moments is where you can say yes to something that you have no idea how it's going to work. And often it's a yes that requires courage, because there's probably a whole bunch of unknown and therefore a whole lot of potential for fear. The most important lessons or yeses in my own life have often been doing something that I'm scared of. And actually teaching yoga was one of those yeses for me. But I was so low and so desperate for a job that I had to have the courage to say yes to the invitation. And that, yes, I had no picture of how I would be as a teacher. And it ended up being one of those grand, like, door openers for me to my life. Allow yourself to soften into the pose. You can even practice really feeling the feels here. So really, one of the ultimate kindnesses is learning how to love other people while guarding their freedom. How can I love you in a way that you stay free? For me, this is part of an element of kindness. For instance, my dad, when I was younger, would teach us, if a homeless person is asking for money, give them money. If they're asking for food, give them food. But it's a human dignity to pay attention to what someone's asking instead of just going, well, I'm going to give them food because if I give them money, they're going to spend it like la 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 la. They're going to do da 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 da. But it's a human dignity. And for instance, money is also just for all of us. It's one of the things that we can exchange that allows the other human being the most freedom. If they want to buy food, they can buy food. If they want to use it on the slot machine, they can use it on the slot machine. So we want to extend the same kind of morality in all of our situations, that all human beings we treat with dignity, no matter how dire their situation. Even though sometimes we can dress it up like, oh, if I give them a sandwich, isn't it kinder because they won't get high and make their situation worse? How do we love each other so we can keep each other free? I think this is such a relevant question for these times. As fear allows compromises to be made in human civil rights, stay awake. And with your next inhale, lift up your chest and joyfully roll onto your right rump. Oh, you can make sounds. Maybe you have friends in your house or family, but they know you. All right, now, first we're gonna take this straight forward. So you can even here use a block or something if you want some extra flexibility in your hamstrings, and then just walk yourself straight forward, let your head drop. I'm gonna read one of my favorite Hafiz poems. And I know a lot of you are gonna recognize this poem. You've heard it like 1,000 times. I've heard it 1,000 times too, but I feel like I constantly need reminding. It happens all the time in heaven. And someday it will begin to happen again on earth. That men and women who are married, and men who are lovers, and women who give each other light, often will get down on their knees, and while so tenderly holding their love's hand, with tears in their eyes, will sincerely speak, saying, my dear, how can I be more loving to you? How can I be more kind? My dear, how can I be more loving to you? How can I be more kind? These are the words from Hafiz centuries ago, and we're still working on it. No. So you might not be surprised to hear that with the liver and the gallbladder, another one of the spiritual tasks is that the liver houses what the traditional Chinese call the ephemeral soul. So it's the part of our soul that is timeless and without manifest, like it's without a body, non-corporeal. The way in the traditional Chinese cosmology, there is our animal soul that is really connected to our physical body and our personality. And it is with us through this lifetime and passes away when we pass away on this earth. And that is housed in our lungs. But this timeless soul that we can picture that our lifetimes are refining this part, like polishing it like a jewel, refining this element of ourselves. Of course, it's together in the place where we're challenged to be more kind, to be more creative. Inhale, roll up and twist over your beautiful left leg a couple of times. That would be, yep. So a couple little, maybe you have a little bit more of a flowy dance that you want to do. Oh, nice. Yeah. And then bow over your beautiful extended leg. Let your head drop towards your knee. And you can nearly feel not only is your hamstring stretching, but the 8 layers of ligament around your spine is stretching. So the Dalai Lama talks about his religion is kindness. That his whole whole emphasis is this thread of what is it truly to be kind to one another. And one of the shifts that we've really made is it used to be like the golden rule that we can hear in lots of different scriptures. Treat other people like yourself, how you want to be treated. But now we've even transformed that and worked with that even further. So we start to understand that actual kindness is actually treating other human beings how they want to be treated. And this takes an effort to kind of rise up out of ourselves. And maybe it's reconnecting to this part of ourselves that actually can observe our own thinking, that can observe our own feeling. That capacity in us, we can turn it outward to the world. And without our reactivity or the training, a little bit loosened from the training of our habits, we can actually, with discipline and will, observe what the other human being wants or needs or would be served by. So often we are stuck in our little me dance. And especially when our emotions get out of balance, like we get really angry. You feel how all the injustices have been done to me. And usually that just fuels the anger like it bellows on the flame. But the act of trying to see something from the other person's perspective often can allow your anger to dissipate. But it takes will, it takes effort and courage. We fear losing our standing or our needs. Notice if your head can get a little heavier. Maybe soften your throat. How can I be more loving? How can I be more kind? It's not a path for the meek. And then start to roll up. Bend both of your knees and start to lower yourself down onto the yoga mat. We have like 1.5 more postures. Half, yeah, we're just gonna do a cleansing twist at the end. You're gonna stretch your legs out and take your left foot just to the outside of your left side of the yoga mat. Stretch your legs long. We're going into banana asana. So you take your left leg to the left, just on the outside of your left side of your yoga mat, and then you hook your right ankle over the top of your left ankle. So I said just do the other way. So take your left leg to the left and hook the right ankle on top. Beautiful. So other right ankle on top, babe. Huh? Yes, excellent. Now stretch your arms over your head, and with your right heel on top of your left foot, you should stretch your right arm to the left. So you want to feel that you're stretching the whole right side of your body. Banana asana, that is its name. And you can really feel that you're stretching here through the ribs, especially, and these intercostal muscles are stretching apart. And it's actually the gallbladder meridian that zigzags down the side of your body here. So you're stretching it out to induce more freedom and flow. Take a full inhale here, and with your exhale, just sigh out and feel your body relax and accept it. And Mona, just make sure both your hips are on the ground. So both the cheeks are on the yoga mat still. Yeah. So right now in our world, there's this big, God, I could finish that sentence in so many different ways. But there's this big kind of popularity with this notion of self-love and self-care. And for me, this is where I really find so much inspiration really from the Buddhist practices, where when we look at these elements together with the liver and the gallbladder of being kind and having courage and being creative, in my own small universe of myself, I find those are the things that in the end of the day, I find of value, and I feel more at peace with myself if I've accomplished those things in the day. It's a little bit like happiness. If you're really interested in happiness and you think, okay, I want to be happy, so I'm going to try to be happy. You spend your day, your life going, am I happy? Am I not happy? Am I happy right now? And then you'll notice that whenever you're looking for things that stand in between you and your happiness, you can find them. There's always going to be something else. But if you take this, drive in us and actually say, am I doing good, or am I being kind, or am I being generous, or am I of service to the world? Where is my power? when you aim your question further away or more of service, you'll find that one of the results is self-reliance and self-love and happiness. That in the end of the day, you will feel much more fortified and cared for if you've been able to express your love during the day. Your love for other humans, your love for the earth. And now come back to center, straighten out your banana, take a full breath, and then you got a banana the other way. So take a moan here. Oh, the feels. Maybe wiggle your hips. And then just take your right foot to the outside of the right side of your yoga mat and hook your left ankle over your right ankle, keeping both butt cheeks lovingly cushioned to the yoga mat. And then stretch your arms up over your head and grab onto your left wrist and pull your left arm to the right. So more and more as we move forward in time, we're going to find that how we are and how we are of service in the world is what changes the world. So even in my inner space, if I work on being more generous or taking care of people more or being more loving and being more kind, I'm actually amplifying the world's capacity for those things. So I forgot my watch is correct. Really lame excuse. But if you're up for it, we have about 7 more minutes, even though it's 1 minute to 10. So that includes, awesome, that includes a fat 5-minute Shavasana, which is the, creme de la creme of your practice. And then move back to center, wiggle around a little bit, wiggle, shake, groan, moan, cry a little bit. And then take your legs wide on the yoga mat like you're about to make a snow angel or a sand angel. Let your arms relax a little bit away from your body for our yin shavasana. Maybe you cover yourself if you've got something handy. But most importantly, let your body come to stillness. Let your breath relax. Let your eyes be closed and trusting. Feel the solidness of the floor hold you, and keep your attention in your body, in the room. With your next inhale, invite your breath back to the edges of your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes and maybe even start to smile. And then reach your arms long over your head and just gently wiggle along. And with your exhale, bring your knees to your chest and roll onto your left-hand side, stimulating the yang channel next to your spine. And then come into a seated position. I'm going to unmute you all so we can Om together and we can try to hack the Zoom world because it likes to cut off our Oms. So bring yourself into a comfortable seated position. Take your hands to heart center. Close your eyes and notice that you ground down to the earth to find the freedom to lift up lightly towards the sky. Picture the people around the world, far away in the same moment together with us. Empty your breath. Take a deep inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow down together, we say, Namaste. And so much love. So make some noise. It helps clear the space energetically. It also gives the sense of, okay, whew. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank
you. If you need any information of my schedule or want to join my Zoom mailing list, you can go to my website at raystar.com. And I've turned up the volume, so any questions, comments, requests?
Peace and love.
Say again?
Peace and love.
Peace and love, baby. Yes. I'm so into those things. And freedom.